I'm standing in my home office, the one I've had since my husband passed, and I'm digging through a drawer for an old tax form when my fingers brush against something that doesn't belong. It's an envelope, crisp, unopened, tucked behind a stack of utility bills. I pull it out and my heart stops. It's a life insurance policy, my name at the top, Rebecca Ann Harper, insured for $500,000, and Sharon, my daughter, listed as the sole beneficiary, dated last week. I didn't sign this. I didn't even know about it. My hands shake as I read it again, the words blurring because I can't believe what I'm seeing. Sharon's been coming around lately, all smiles and let's catch up, Mom, but this feels like a knife in my back. Hello, I'm Rebecca, 68 years old, living in a quiet suburb in Orange County, California. Before I dive into this story, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment with where you're watching from. Your support means everything. I need you to understand how this hit me. Sharon hasn't been part of my life for years. She moved to San Francisco after college, chasing some big career in real estate, and I barely heard from her. A card on my birthday, maybe a call at Christmas, but that was it. Then 3 months ago, she shows up at my doorstep, all apologies and hugs, saying she misses me, wants to make things right. I let her in because, well, she's my daughter. I thought maybe she'd changed. She started visiting every weekend, bringing me these herbal supplements saying they'd help with my stress. She'd linger in my house asking about my finances, my mortgage, how I'm managing on my own. I didn't think much of it at first. I mean, she's family, right? But then I noticed things. She'd poke around my desk when she thought I wasn't looking, flip through my mail, ask questions about the house like she was sizing it up. And now this insurance policy out of nowhere with her name on it, like she's waiting for something to happen to me. I'm not stupid. I've lived in this neighborhood long enough to hear stories. My neighbor Helen got scammed by her nephew a few years back. He convinced her to sign over her savings, said it was for her future care, then disappeared with every penny. I'm not letting that happen to me. So I don't call Sharon right away. I don't scream or cry or throw the paper across the room. I sit down at my kitchen table, the policy in front of me, and I think. My hands are still shaking, but I'm not panicking. I'm mad. Mad that my own daughter thinks she can play me like this. Mad that she thinks I'm some old lady who won't notice. I grab my phone and call Cynthia, my best friend for 20 years. She's a retired nurse, sharp as a tack, and she's always had my back. CYN, I need you to come over, I say, keeping my voice low in case Sharon's nearby. I found something. It's bad. She doesn't ask questions, just says, I'm there in 10. That's Cynthia. No nonsense, all action. While I wait, I read the policy again, every line, every detail. It's from some company I've never heard of, Pacific Trust Life. And it's got Sharon's signature at the bottom along with some broker's name I don't recognize. I grab a pen and jot down the broker's info on a napkin, my handwriting messy because I'm moving fast. Then I stuff the policy into a lockbox under my bed, the one I use for important papers. Sharon doesn't know about that box, and she's not going to find out. Cynthia shows up, her gray hair pulled back, her purse slung over her shoulder like she's ready for battle. I hand her the napkin with the broker's name and show her where I hid the policy. Sharon did this, I tell her, my voice tight. She's been acting all sweet, but this is what she's after. Cynthia's eyes narrow as she reads the napkin. $500,000, she says, whistling low. That's not pocket change. What's her game? I shake my head. I don't know yet, but I'm not sitting around waiting to find out. Cynthia nods, her jaw set. We need to dig into this. Check her phone, her emails, anything she's left lying around. If she's working with someone, we'll find it. That's when I remember something. Last weekend, Sharon left her phone on my coffee table while she went to the bathroom. I didn't think to snoop then, but now I'm wishing I had. I tell Cynthia and she says next time she's here you get into that phone. People like her, they're sloppy. They think they're smarter than everyone else. I nod, feeling a fire in my chest I haven't felt in years. I'm not just going to sit here and let Sharon pull this off. I'm going to fight back, and I'm going to win. The next day, Sharon calls, her voice all sugar. Mom, I'm coming by this afternoon, okay? I brought you more of those supplements. They're really helping, right? I grip the phone so hard. My knuckles ache, but I keep my tone light. Sure, honey, that sounds great. See you soon? I hang up and look at the lockbox under my bed. I'm not taking those supplements, not after this. I've been pouring them down the sink and I'm not telling her that. Let her think I'm swallowing every pill, getting weaker, easier to control. That's what she wants, isn't it? To make me look like I can't handle my own life, so she can swoop in and take everything up. When Sharon shows up, she's all smiles, carrying a little paper bag with the supplements and a coffee from the shop down the street. Thought you'd like this, she says, handing me the coffee. I take it, but I don't drink. Not yet. I set it on the counter and say thanks, Sharon. You're too good to me. She laughs, that fake laugh that makes my skin crawl, and I notice her eyes dart to my desk where I left a stack of bills on purpose. She thinks I'm disorganized, that I won't notice her poking around. She's wrong. We sit in the living room and she starts talking about her job, some big real estate deal she's working on. I nod along, pretending to listen, but I'm watching her every move. Then it happens. She says she needs to make a quick call and steps onto the patio, leaving her phone on the couch. My heart's pounding, but I don't hesitate. I grab the phone, swipe it open. God bless her for not changing the passcode from her birthday, and scroll through her texts. There's a chain with someone named Mark, and the messages make my stomach twist. She's not signing yet, but I'm close. The house is worth at least $750,000 with the lot. We need to move fast. Another text. Supplements are working. She's slower, not asking questions. I snap photos of the screen with my own phone, my fingers moving so fast I'm afraid I'll drop it. I hear Sharon's voice outside wrapping up her call, and I put her phone back just as she steps inside. You okay? Mom, she asks, tilting her head like she's worried. I force a smile, my heart racing. Just tired, honey. Those supplements make me a little foggy. She nods, looking pleased, and I want to scream at her, call her out right there, but I don't. I'm playing her game now, and I'm better at it than she thinks. After she leaves, I call Cynthia again and send her the photos of Sharon's texts. She's working with someone named Mark. I tell her. They're after the house, not just the insurance. Cynthia's voice is grim. I know a guy who can look into this, Mark. We'll figure out who he is and what they're planning. You keep acting like nothing's wrong. Let her think she's winning. The next few days are a blur. Sharon keeps coming by, pushing those supplements, asking about my will, my finances, like she's my accountant instead of my daughter. I play along, acting confused, letting my hands shake when I pour her coffee. But every night I'm on the phone with Cynthia, piecing things together. She tells me Mark's a real estate developer with a history of shady deals, buying up properties from seniors who don't know better. Sharon's not just after the insurance money. She wants my house, my land, everything I've built. I start keeping a notebook, writing down every visit, every word. Sharon says, every time she looks at my desk or asks about my bank account. I hide it in the lockbox with the insurance policy, along with the photos of her texts. One night I'm sitting at my kitchen table staring at the coffee. Sharon brought me the one I still haven't touched. I pour it down the sink just like the supplements, and I feel this rage building inside me. This isn't just about money. This is my home where I raised Sharon, where I laughed and cried and built a life. And she thinks she can take it from me like I'm nothing, like I'm just a signature on a page. I grab my phone and text Cynthia, I'm done playing nice. We need a plan. She texts back, meet me tomorrow at the cafe. Bring everything you've got. The next morning, I'm at the cafe down the street, a little place with wobbly tables and the best pancakes in town. Cynthia's already there, sipping coffee, her notebook open. I slide into the booth and hand her my notebook, the photos, the napkin, with the broker's name. This is everything I say. Sharon's coming over tonight, and I'm not letting her walk out without slipping up. Cynthia leans forward, her eyes sharp. We need proof, something solid. If she's texting this Mark guy, she's probably talking to him too. Get her to say something on record. I nod, my mind racing. I've got a voice recorder from years ago. One I used for work meetings. It's old, but it works. I tell Cynthia I'll hide it in the living room, turn it on when Sharon's there, see if I can catch her saying something incriminating. That night, Sharon shows up right on time, her smile as fake as ever. Mom, you look better today, she says, setting another bag of supplements on the counter. Maybe those pills are kicking in? I smile back, my stomach hurting. Maybe they are. I've got the recorder hidden behind a photo frame on the mantel, the red light blinking faintly. We sit down and I start talking about the house, dropping hints that I'm thinking of selling. It's a lot to maintain, I say, watching her face. Maybe it's time to let it go. Her eyes light up just for a second, but I catch it. I could help with that, Mom, she says, leaning forward. I know people who'd make it easy. You wouldn't have to worry about a thing. I nod, keeping my voice soft. That sounds nice, Sharon. Tell me more about these people. She starts talking, and I'm praying the recorder's picking it up. She mentions Mark says he's got a buyer lined up, someone who'll pay top dollar for the lot. It's a good deal, Mom. She says, her voice smooth. You'd be set for life. I want to laugh because she thinks I'm buying. It thinks I'm that gullible. I keep her talking, asking questions, letting her dig her own hole. When she leaves, I grab the recorder and play it back. Her voice comes through clear as day, talking about Mark, the buyer, the money. I text the Cynthia, got it. We're moving forward. She replies, good. Tomorrow we make our next move. I'm lying in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, the recorder next to me. I'm not scared anymore. I'm angry, focused, ready to take Sharon down. She thinks she's got me cornered, but she's wrong. This is my house, my life, and I'm not letting her steal it. Tomorrow I'm meeting Cynthia again, and we're planning the next step. Sharon's going to slip up, and when she does, I'll be ready. I'm sitting at the cafe with Cynthia, the recorder on the table between us, its tiny red light still blinking from last night's conversation with Sharon. I play it again just to be sure, and there's Sharon's voice clear as day, talking about Mark, the buyer, the $750,000 she thinks she's going to get for my house. Cynthia's eyes are locked on the recorder, her coffee untouched, and I can tell she's as angry as I am. I'm not thinking about how betrayed I feel or how Sharon's my daughter and this shouldn't be happening. I'm thinking about what's next, because I've got proof now and I'm not letting her walk away with my life in her pocket. Cynthia leans forward and says, we need more than this. A recording's good, but we need something she can't talk her way out of, like a document or a witness. I nod because she's right. Sharon's slippery, always has been, and if I'm going to take her down, I need to be smarter than she is. I pull out my notebook, the one I've been keeping with every detail of Sharon's visits, and flip to the page where I wrote down Mark's name and the insurance broker's info. Cynthia takes a photo of it with her phone, Says she's sending it to a guy she knows, a private investigator who owes her a favor from her nursing days. He'll dig into Mark, she says. Find out who he's working with and how deep this goes. I'm already thinking ahead because Sharon's coming over again tonight, and I need to keep her talking, keep her thinking I'm clueless. I tell Cynthia I'm going to push harder, maybe bring up the house again, see if I can get her to slip up on the recorder. Be careful, Cynthia says, her voice low. If she suspects you're onto her, she might change tactics. I nod, but I'm not worried. Sharon thinks she's playing me, and that's her biggest mistake. I'm in Cynthia's car, heading to meet her lawyer friend Paul, with the fake power of attorney form tucked in my purse next to the recorder and my notebook. Sharon's visit last night is still fresh in my mind. The way she pushed that folder of papers at me, her voice sharp when I didn't jump to sign. She's getting impatient, and that's good, because impatient people make mistakes. I'm not thinking about how this feels, or what Sharon used to be like when she was a kid. I'm focused on the plan because if I play this right, Sharon's going to hand me everything I need to stop her. Cynthia's driving her hand steady on the wheel, and she says Paul's good. He'll make this form look legit, but it won't hold up in court. Sharon won't know the difference. I nod, because that's exactly what I want. A trap that looks real enough to fool her but won't let her touch my house or my money. We pull into a small office park, just a row of beige buildings with glass doors, and Paul's waiting for us in a corner suite. He's older, maybe 60, with a pressed suit and a handshake that's firm but not showy. I hand him the fake form, the one I marked up to look like I've been thinking about it, and explain what I need. Sharon's trying to get me to sign over control of my house, I say, keeping my voice even. I want her to think I'm doing it, but I need this to backfire on her. Paul flips through the form, his eyes scanning every line, and says I can draft something that looks binding but isn't. It'll have just enough legal jargon to convince her, but it'll be void if she tries to use it. Cynthia chimes in. We've got recordings, emails, and her notebook. If she takes this bait, we'll have her on intent. Paul nods, scribbling notes, and says, I'll have it ready by tomorrow. Bring her to my office when you're ready to sign. I'll play along. I feel a spark of hope because this is coming together and Sharon's not going to see it coming. Back at my house, I'm setting up for Sharon's next visit, making sure everything's in place. I leave the fake form on the desk again, but this time I add a sticky note with Paul's name and number like I've been talking to him. The recorder's hidden behind a picture frame in the living room, fresh batteries ready to catch whatever Sharon says. I'm not eating or sleeping much, but I'm sharp focused because this is at the moment where I turn the tables. Sharon shows up right on time, her smile tighter than usual like she's forcing it. Mom, you didn't call me back yesterday, she says, setting a new bottle of supplements on the counter. Everything okay? I nod, acting a little distracted, and say, just been busy, honey. Found a lawyer to help with the house stuff? Her eyes flick to the desk where the form and sticky note are sitting, and I see her tense up. A lawyer, she asks, her voice too casual. Yeah, Paul Grayson, I say, watching her face. He says he can make selling easier. Thought maybe we could meet him. Sharon's smile falters, and she says, you don't need a lawyer, Mom. I've got everything handled with Mark. I shrug, like I'm not sure, and say I just want to be careful. It's a big decision. She doesn't push, but I can tell she's rattled, and that's exactly what I need. We sit down and I keep the conversation light, talking about the neighborhood, how the prices keep going up. Sharon's barely listening. Her eyes keep drifting to the desk, and I know she's thinking about that form. I decide to push a little harder. Paul says the house could go for $850,000, I say, tossing out a number to see how she reacts. Maybe more if we sell the lot separate. Sharon's head snaps up and she says, that's high, Mom. You sure he's legit? I nod, acting naive, and say he's been doing this forever. Cynthia trusts him. Sharon's jaw tightens and she says, "Let me talk to Mark first. We don't want to rush into anything." I agree, but I'm smiling inside because she's on the recorder talking about Mark again, and every word is another nail in her coffin. After she leaves, I call Cynthia and play the new recording over the phone. She's pumped, says she's nervous. That mention of Paul threw her off. Keep pushing the lawyer angle. I tell her I'm setting up a meeting with Paul tomorrow and I want Sharon there, thinking she's about to get what she wants. Cynthia says she'll be at my house when Sharon shows up, just in case things get heated. I'm ready, but I'm also watching Sharon closer than ever, because she's not stupid. She's got to be wondering why I'm suddenly talking about lawyers and big numbers. I check my lockbox, make sure the insurance policy, emails, and notebook photos are still there, and add the new recording to the pile. I'm not taking any chances. When Sharon comes over again, she's different, more direct. She doesn't bring supplements or coffee, just that same folder, and she sits down at the kitchen table like she owns the place. "Mom, I talked to Mark," she says, her voice all business. "He's got a buyer ready to go, $900,000 cash. We need to sign the power of attorney now, or the deal's off." I look at her, keeping my face calm, and say, "That's a lot, Sharon. I'm meeting Paul tomorrow to go over everything. Why don't you come with me?" She hesitates, her fingers tapping the folder, and says, "I don't think we need him. This is simple." I push back just a little and say I'm not signing anything without a lawyer. I've been burned before. It's a lie, but it works, because Sharon's eyes narrow and I know she's wondering what I'm up to. That's when Cynthia shows up, banging on the door like she's late for something. I let her in and Sharon's face goes cold. "Cynthia didn't know you were coming," she says, her voice flat. Cynthia smiles, all friendly, and says, "Just checking on Rebecca." "Heard you're selling the house?" Sharon doesn't answer, just grips her folder tighter, and I can tell she's on edge. We all sit down and I start talking about Paul, how he's got everything ready for tomorrow. Sharon cuts me off, says, "Mom, you're making this complicated. Just sign the form and I'll handle the rest." I shake my head, acting confused, and say, "I don't know, Sharon. I need to be sure." Cynthia jumps in, her voice sharp. "She's right, Sharon. $900,000 is a big deal. You don't just sign that away." Sharon glares at her, and for a second I think she's going to snap, but she just stands up and says, "I'll see you tomorrow, Mom. Bring the form." She's out the door before I can answer, and I know she's rattled, maybe even scared. Cynthia stays, and we go over the plan with Paul on speakerphone. He says the fake form is ready, and he's set up his office to look like a real signing session, complete with a notary stamp that won't hold up if Sharon tries to use it. "Get her to talk about the deal," he says. "If she admits anything on record, we've got her." I nod, because that's the goal, to catch Sharon saying something so damning she can't talk her way out. Cynthia says her investigators got more on Mark, including a paper trail linking him to forged documents in another deal. "He's sloppy," she says, "and Sharon's tied to him. We're close." I pull out the recorder and check it, making sure it's still working, because tomorrow's the big day and I'm not letting anything slip through the cracks. I'm going through Sharon's folder, the one she left on the table, and find a contract with Mark's name on it, listing my house as pending sale for $900,000. It's not signed, but it's got my name typed at the top like Sharon's already planning to forge it. I take photos of every page and send them to Cynthia, who forwards them to Paul. I'm not stopping there. I check Sharon's phone again because she left it on the counter when she stormed out, and there's a new text from Mark. "Get her to sign tomorrow, or we're moving to Plan B." I don't know what Plan B is, but it's enough to make me double-check the lockbox, make sure everything's secure. I'm not scared, but I'm angry because Sharon's not just after my house, she's trying to erase me like I'm nothing but a stepping stone to her payday. When I get to Paul's office, Sharon's already there sitting in the waiting area with her folder, her face all business. Cynthia is with me, carrying her purse like it's a weapon, and Paul greets us like this is just another day. "Rebecca, good to see you," he says, shaking my hand. "Sharon, glad you could make it." Sharon nods, but her eyes are on me like she's trying to figure out if I'm playing her. We sit down in Paul's office, and he pulls out the fake form, all official looking, with my name and the house details. I've got the recorder in my purse running since we walked in, and I'm praying it picks up everything. Paul starts talking, explaining the form like it's real, and says, "This gives Sharon authority to handle the sale, but it's revocable, Rebecca. You can change your mind any time." I nod, acting hesitant, and say, "I just want to make sure it's right." $900,000 is a lot. Sharon leans forward, her voice urgent. "It's the best deal you'll get, Mom. Mark's buyer is ready now." I look at her, keeping my face soft, and say, "Tell me about Mark. Why's he so eager?" Sharon hesitates, then says he's just good at his job. "Knows the market." Paul jumps in, his voice calm. "I'd need to see his credentials." "Big sale? Like this, we don't want surprises." Sharon's smile is gone now, and she says, "I've got everything you need. Let's just sign." That's when things shift. Sharon pulls out her own form, not the one Paul gave her, and slides it across the table. "This is better," she says. "Mark's team put it together. It's faster." I look at the paper, and it's got my name, the house, and a clause giving Sharon full control, no revocation. My stomach twists, but I don't show it. I say, "I don't know, Sharon. Paul's form seems safer." She snaps, her voice sharp. "Mom, you're wasting time. Sign it, or the deal's gone." Cynthia's watching, her hand on her purse, and I know she's ready to step in. Paul says, "Rebecca, I'd advise against signing anything without review." Sharon glares at him, and I realize she's not just impatient, she's desperate. I push back, acting confused, and say, "I need to think about it. Can we meet again tomorrow?" Sharon stands up, grabs her form, and says, "Fine, Mom, but you're making a mistake." She's out the door, and Paul looks at me, his eyes steady. "She's cracking," he says. "You've got her on the ropes." I play the recording for Cynthia on the way home, and Sharon's voice comes through clear and angry, pushing me to sign her form, mentioning Mark's buyer. Cynthia's grinning says, "That's it. She's done. We've got intent, and that form she pulled out, that's fraud, waiting to happen." I'm not celebrating yet because Sharon's desperate, and desperate people are dangerous. I'm keeping the recorder running, the lockbox full, and Cynthia close, because tomorrow's going to be the real fight, and I'm ready to finish this. I'm back at my house, sitting at the kitchen table with Cynthia and Paul, going over the plan to finish this with Sharon. The recorder's on the table, full of her voice, pushing that fake contract in Paul's office, and the lockbox is open. Papers spread out, her notebook, the insurance policy, those emails with Mark. Sharon's desperate, and I know it, because she walked out of that meeting yesterday, like someone who's running out of time. I'm not thinking about how this is my daughter or what went wrong between us. I'm thinking about the trap, because if I play this right, Sharon's going to hand me the final piece of evidence, and there's no talking her way out of it. Paul's holding the fake power of attorney form, the one he made to look real, and says, "We need her to admit the scam on record or in front of a witness. If she signs this thinking it's legit, we've got her for fraud." Cynthia nods, her eyes sharp, and says, "Set up a dinner, Rebecca. Invite her over. Act like you're ready to sign her form, not ours." She'll bite. I agree because Sharon's been pushing that contract hard, and if I dangle what she wants, she'll slip up. I grab my phone and call Sharon, keeping my voice soft like I'm tired. Honey, I've been thinking, I say. Maybe you're right about the house. Can you come over tonight? We'll talk about signing. There's a pause, and then Sharon's voice, all sugar, comes through. Mom, that's great. I'll bring the papers. I hang up, and Cynthia's grinning says, she's hooked. Now we reel her in. Paul says he'll be on standby, ready to step in with a notary friend who can act as a witness but won't validate anything real. I'm setting the table for dinner, making it look like a normal night: plates, napkins, a pitcher of iced tea, but the recorder's hidden behind a candle holder already running, and the fake form is on the counter next to Sharon's contract, like I'm comparing them. I'm not eating much, but I'm focused, because this is the moment where Sharon either cracks or gets away, and I'm not letting her walk out with my life. Sharon shows up, her folder under her arm, and she's different, calmer, like she thinks she's won. Mom, this is going to be good for you, she says, setting the folder on the table. You'll be set for life. I nod, pouring her tea, and say, I hope so, Sharon. I'm just nervous about all this legal stuff. She smiles, that fake smile I've seen too many times, and says, don't worry. I've got it covered. We eat, or at least she does, because I'm pushing food around my plate, watching her every move. I bring up the contract, acting hesitant, and say, your form looks complicated. Paul's was simpler. Why's yours better? Sharon's eyes narrow, but she keeps her voice smooth. Mine's faster. Mom, Mark Spire needs it done now. $900,000 cash. You won't get a better deal. I nod, like I'm convinced, and say, okay, let's go over it. I want to understand. She opens the folder, pulls out her contract, and starts explaining, pointing to clauses that give her full control. No way for me to back out. I'm listening, but I'm also watching the recorder's tiny light, praying it's catching every word. Cynthia knocks on the door right on cue, and I let her in, acting surprised. Cynthia, didn't expect you, I say, but Sharon's face tightens, like she's sick of seeing her. Just dropping by, Cynthia says, her voice casual. Heard you're signing papers. Sharon snaps. It's under control, Cynthia. We don't need extra opinions. I jump in, keeping things calm, and say, let's all sit down. I want to make sure I'm doing this right. We move to the living room, and I grab both forms, the fake one from Paul and Sharon's contract, laying them side by side on the coffee table. I've got a pen in my hand, acting like I'm ready to sign, and say, Sharon, tell me again why your form's the one to go with. I trust you, but I need to hear it. She leans forward, her voice urgent, and says, Mom, my form gets the deal done now. Mark Spire is ready, and if we wait, they'll walk. You'll lose $900,000. I nod, flipping through her contract, and say, and Mark's legit. You're sure? She hesitates, then says, he's the best in the business. I've worked with him for years. That's when I pushed just a little, because I found something, Sharon. Your notebook with my house listed as pending. You never told me that. Her face changes just for a second, and she says, that's just work stuff, Mom. You're overthinking it. I'm not letting her off that easy. I pick up her contract, hold it like I'm about to sign, and say, okay, but I need to know everything. What's Mark getting out of this? Sharon's voice gets sharp, and she says, he's getting a commission, Mom. Standard deal. Just sign and we're done. I set the pen down, acting confused, and say, I don't know, Sharon. Paul said I should be careful. What if this isn't right? That's when she loses it just a little and says, Paul's slowing us down. This is your chance, Mom. I'm doing this for you. I'm watching her, and I know the recorder's got it all. Her pushing her lies about Mark, her desperation. Cynthia's sitting there quiet, but her eyes are on Sharon, like she's ready to pounce. I pick up the pen again, start writing my name on Sharon's contract, but stop halfway, acting shaky, and say I need to call Paul first. This doesn't feel right. Sharon slams her hand on the table, not hard, but enough to make me jump, and says, "Mom, you're ruining this. Just sign it." I look at her, keeping my face soft, and say, "Sharon, why's this so urgent? What's really going on?" That's when the door opens, and Paul walks in with a woman I don't know, carrying a notary stamp. Sharon's eyes go wide, and she stands up, clutching her contract. "What's this?" she asks, her voice shaking. Paul's calm, says, "Rebecca asked me to review the paperwork. This is Lisa, my notary. We're making sure everything's legal." Sharon's face is pale now, and she says, "This is private, Mom. You don't need them here." I stand up, holding her contract, and say, "I think I do, Sharon. I found your emails with Mark. You said I was ready to sign, that the supplements were making me slow. What's that about?" She freezes, and for a second I think she's going to run, but Cynthia's between her and the door, and Paul's voice cuts through. "Sharon, sit down. We need to talk about this contract." She doesn't sit, just stands there, her folder crumpled in her hands, and says, "You're setting me up, Mom. This is crazy." I shake my head, pull the recorder from behind the candle holder, and say, "I'm not setting you up. You did that yourself." I hit play, and her voice fills the room, talking about Mark, the $900,000, the urgency to sign. Sharon's mouth opens, but nothing comes out, and I know we've got her. Paul takes over, his voice steady. "Sharon, this contract is fraudulent. It's designed to transfer Rebecca's property without her consent. We've got your emails, your notebook, and recordings of you admitting the scam." Lisa, the notary, pulls out a phone, says she's been recording the whole conversation, and Sharon's face collapses. She tries to talk her way out, says, "This is a misunderstanding. I was helping Mom, that's all." But Cynthia's not having it, says, "Helping? You were drugging her with those supplements, trying to make her sign her life away." Sharon looks at me, her eyes pleading, and says, "Mom, you don't believe this, right? I'd never hurt you." I don't answer, just hand Paul the contract, and he says, "We're turning this over to the police. You've got a lot to explain." Sharon's voice breaks, and she says, "You can't do this. I'm your daughter." I look at her, keeping my voice calm, and say, "You stopped being my daughter when you put my name on that insurance policy." Paul makes a call, and within minutes, a police officer shows up, not in uniform, but with a badge that shuts Sharon up. Cynthia's standing by me, her hand on my shoulder, and I'm not shaking or crying. I'm steady because this is what I've been building toward. The officer takes the recorder, the contract, and the emails, says they'll need Sharon to come to the station. She tries to argue, says it's all a mistake, but the officer's not listening, just leads her to the door. Sharon looks back at me one last time and says, "You'll regret this, Mom." I don't answer because there's nothing to say. She's gone, and the room's quiet. Just me, Cynthia, Paul, and Lisa, with the recorder still blinking on the table. I sit down, not because I'm tired, but because I need to process what just happened. Paul says, "The police will take it from here, that Sharon's looking at charges for fraud, maybe more if they tie her to Mark's other deals." Cynthia's packing up the papers, says, "You did it, Rebecca. She's done." I nod, but I'm already thinking about the lockbox, about making sure every piece of evidence is safe. I'm not celebrating because this isn't a victory, not really. It's just the end of a fight I didn't ask for. I thank Paul and Lisa, and they leave, promising to follow up with the police. Cynthia stays, says she's not letting me out of her sight until this is over. I'm grateful because Sharon's desperate, and I don't know what she'll do next. I lock the door, check the windows, and put the recorder in the lockbox with everything else. This isn't over, not yet, But I'm ready for whatever comes, because Sharon's not the only one who knows how to fight. I'm sitting at my kitchen table, the lockbox open in front of me, papers stacked neatly, Sharon's notebook, the insurance policy, the printed emails, the fake contract, and the recorder, with every word she said. Cynthia's across from me sipping coffee, her purse on the floor, like she's ready to jump back into battle if I need her. Sharon's gone, taken to the police station last night after that showdown, and I'm not thinking about what she said or how she looked at me when they led her away. I'm thinking about what's next because this isn't over until my house. My life is locked down tight, and Sharon can't touch it. Paul calls, says the police have everything, the recordings, the contract, the emails, and they're building a case against Sharon for fraud and attempted forgery. She's not talking much, he says, but the evidence is airtight. They're looking at Mark now too. I nod, because that's what I wanted for Sharon's whole scheme to collapse and for Mark to go down with her. Cynthia says you did it, Rebecca. She's not getting away with this. But I'm not celebrating because this isn't about winning, it's about taking back what's mine. I grab my notebook, the one I've been using to track every move Sharon made, and start organizing the evidence, making copies of everything to hand over to Paul. I'm not taking chances because Sharon's slippery and I know she'll try to twist this if she gets the chance. Cynthia helps sorting papers and says, you should talk to the neighbors, let them know what happened, so Sharon can't spin some story about you. I agree because this neighborhood's tight and people talk, and I'm not letting Sharon paint me as the bad guy. I call Helen, my neighbor down the street, and tell her the truth. Sharon tried to scam me, forged papers, worked with a shady developer to take my house for $900,000. Helen's shocked, says, I knew something was off with her, always poking around. She promises to spread the word, make sure everyone knows Sharon's not welcome back. I'm not doing this to hurt Sharon, but to protect myself because I've built a life here, and I'm not letting her ruin it. Paul shows up with a stack of legal forms, says we need to secure my property so no one can pull this again. You've got options, he says, spreading the papers out. You can put the house in a trust, make it untouchable, or donate part of the land to a community group, keep it safe from developers. I'm listening because I like the idea of locking things down, making sure no one, not Sharon, not Mark, can come after me again. I tell Paul I want to meet with a trust lawyer, someone who can set it up fast, and he says he'll make it happen. Cynthia's nodding, says, that's smart. Keep the vultures out. I'm already thinking about the community center down the street, how they've been fighting developers like Mark for years. I decide to call them, see if they want part of my lot for a park or a garden, something that'll stay here long after I'm gone. I'm not doing it for praise or to feel good, I'm doing it because it's right, because this is my home and I get to decide what happens to it. I head to the police station to give a formal statement, bringing the lockbox with all the evidence. The officer, a guy named Torres, takes me to a small room, says they've got Sharon on multiple charges, fraud, forgery, and something about distributing controlled substances, because those supplements she gave me tested positive for low-dose sedatives. She's not getting out easy, he says, flipping through the emails. And Mark's in trouble too. We raided his office, found records of other scams, same pattern. I hand over the recorder, the notebook, and everything, and Torres says it's more than enough to make the case stick. I'm not smiling or relieved, just focused because I need this to be over, need to know Sharon can't come back. Torres says they're pushing for a hearing next week, and I'll need to testify, but with the evidence it's a slam dunk. I nod, say I'll be there because I'm not backing down now. When I get home, there's a letter from Sharon slipped under my door, probably dropped off before they took her. I don't open it right away, just set it on the counter and stare at it because I know it's going to be excuses, maybe apologies, but nothing real. Cynthia's still with me, says you don't have to read it. Burn it if you want. But I'm curious not because I trust Sharon, but because I want to know what she thinks she can say. I open it, and it's short, just a few lines. Mom, I messed up. I was in over my head with Mark. Please talk to me. I fold it up, put it in the lockbox because it's not an apology, it's a plea, and I'm not falling for it. I tell Cynthia she's not sorry. She's scared. Cynthia nods, says, let her be scared. She earned it. I'm not angry anymore, just done because Sharon made her choices and now she's living with them. I meet with the trust lawyer, a woman named Karen, who walks me through setting up a living trust for my house and savings. This protects everything, she says, handing me a pen. No one can challenge it without a fight. I sign the papers, feeling a weight lift because this is my life, my home, and it's mine, not Sharon's, not Mark's. Karen says it'll take a few weeks to finalize, but once it's done, the house is locked down, untouchable. I tell her I want to donate part of my lot to the community center, maybe turn it into a garden for kids, and she says she'll draw up the paperwork. I'm not doing this for attention, just to make sure this neighborhood stays a neighborhood, not another strip mall, for guys like Mark to profit off. Cynthia's with me, says, you're doing good, Rebecca. This is bigger than Sharon. I nod because it's not about Sharon anymore, it's about what I'm leaving behind. I head to the community center, meet with the director, a guy named Tom who's thrilled about the donation. This could be a game changer, he says, shaking my hand. We've been fighting developers for years. I tell him about Sharon, about Mark, and he's not surprised, says they've seen scams like this before, targeting older folks with big lots. I sign a letter of intent to donate the land, keeping enough for my house and a small yard because I'm not moving, not now, not ever. Tom says they'll name the garden after me, but I wave him off, say, just make it a place kids can play. That's enough. I'm not looking for a legacy, just a way to keep this place safe, to make sure no one else goes through what I did. I get a call from Paul, says the police picked up Mark, charged him with fraud and conspiracy thanks to the records they found in his office. Sharon's talking now, he says, trying to cut a deal, blaming Mark for everything. I'm not surprised because Sharon's always been good at pointing fingers, but it doesn't matter. The evidence is stacked against her and she's not wiggling out. Paul says the hearing's set, and I'll need to be there, but he's confident it'll go our way. I thank him because he's been solid through this, him and Cynthia, and I'm not sure I could have done it without them. I'm not dwelling on Sharon or what she did, just moving forward, because that's what I do. I go to the hearing, sit in a small courtroom with Cynthia next to me, watching Sharon stand in front of the judge. She's in a plain suit, no smile, no charm, just a woman who's run out of lies. The prosecutor lays out the case: forged documents, sedative-laced supplements, emails, plotting to take my house for $900,000. My recordings play Sharon's voice, filling the room, and I don't look at her, just at the judge who's taking notes. Sharon's lawyer tries to argue she was coerced by Mark, but the judge isn't buying it, says the evidence shows intent. She's ordered to pay restitution, faces jail time, and gets a no-contact order, meaning she can't come near me or my house. Mark's case is separate, but he's looking at worse because his scams go back years. I don't say anything, just nod when the judge asks if I'm satisfied, because I am not because I'm happy, but because it's done. I'm back home, locking the door, checking the windows because that's habit now, even with Sharon gone. Cynthia's over, bringing a pizza, says we should celebrate, but I'm not in the mood for parties. We eat, talk about the garden, about the neighborhood, about anything but Sharon. I pull out the trust papers, show her the final draft, and she says, "You're unstoppable, Rebecca." I laugh because I don't feel unstoppable, just stubborn, and that's enough. I'm not thinking about what I've lost or what Sharon took, because she didn't take anything, not really. I'm thinking about what I've kept: my house, my life, my right to decide. I sign the donation papers for the community center, mail them to Tom, and pour myself a coffee. Real coffee, not Sharon's fake supplements. I sit at my table, the lockbox closed, the recorder off, and I know I'm done fighting because I've won, not with anger or tears, but with every step I took to protect what's mine.